Hey guys, it's Suzette from Anewyoricanthing kitchen. Today's very exciting. I'm going to do a whole meal, okay? So we're going to do a ham that is traditional, except that I'm going to go with the spiral ham and not the, traditionally we used to do the can and the ham. But you know what? I know if Abuela was still around and she knew about the spiral ham, this would be the ticket. So what you're going to need is going to need pineapple. You're going to need the cherries, which I don't know how to pronounce, by the way, guys. We're also gonna do yams, okay? Puerto Rican style. We're also gonna make white rice. We're gonna make gandules guisado, which is fresh gandules. I buy the frozen. However, you can use the can if you cannot find the frozen. And I think that's it, so let's get started. The first thing I wanna start with is on the gandules. I've already started boiling them because they're going to take about an hour. And we're also going to add bollitas, which are made out of plátanos. And you can also make them out of guineos and plátano together. Today, I'm just gonna use the guineos, and I'm gonna show you how to do that as well. So this is super exciting. I even have my chef jacket on. My kids are coming over for dinner, so I decided, why not show you how to make a whole entire meal? So let's get started. Okay, guys, so I have peeled the yams, okay, and I diced, and I'm going to cut them like this. So, I don't know, that's probably about a ½ inch, and you want to be consistent with the size. So, just be careful because yams can be very hard. And this is not sweet potatoes, guys. It's yams. There is a difference. Okay, so you see the thickness that I'm going with? Okay, and you're going to put that in a pan. So, the first thing you're going to need is, you're going to need some cinnamon. I'm using light brown sugar. If you have dark, not a problem. You can use that as well. And also, I am using pancake syrup. Yes, pancake syrup. And we're going to use a little bit of salt because you know that's going to bring out the sweetness in your sweet potatoes. And you're also going to need a stick of butter. Okay? So I'm going to continue cutting this, and then we can season that up and put it in the oven. So the yams are all cut up. I did 5, okay? So we have 5 yams, so if you want to do more, of course. I try to keep it all in like one layer so it can cook evenly. So what we're going to do is 1/3 cup of your brown sugar. We may need a little bit more. I always like to see how much we got covered, okay? So I'm just gonna use my hand and I'm going to kind of sprinkle that. So this is 1/3 cup of brown sugar. I'm going to add another one because just by looking at it, it's not enough brown sugar for me. So I'm just gonna add some more, just sprinkle it over it, which that is perfect. Then I'm going to add some pancake syrup. Trust me, this is gonna be delish. And all I do is just go across, okay? Don't be cheap, because this is gonna really bring the sweetness out into the yams, which is amazing, okay? I'm going to sprinkle cinnamon. Okay, just sprinkle up on top because we are gonna mix this, okay? Just mix that up. I am going to add a little bit of salt because the salt is gonna bring the sweetness out of your potatoes. Not a lot of salt, okay? Just a little bit. Bring that sweetness out. We're going to add a stick of butter. Now, once you add your stick of butter, you're going to cover it with foil, and you're going to cook it at 350 degrees, probably about 45 minutes or so. You're going to know when it's ready because your yams are going to be soft, and you know that it's completely ready. The great thing about the yams is that you really can cook this ahead of time. So if you're having people over, Thanksgiving, or just company over, I cook this a day ahead and just warm it up the next day, and it's absolutely perfect, which is so awesome when you want to cook things ahead. So you're going to bake this 350 degrees, covered with some foil, okay? And then we'll move on to our next step, which is the ham. Okay guys, we're gonna move on to the ham so we can get this in the oven. So the ham's cooking directions are on the package, okay? So go by that. You don't need to do anything different. Mine is gonna take about 3 hours because it's a kind of big one. So what are you gonna need? First thing you're gonna do is take this glaze and save it for something else because we're gonna make our own. That's number one. You're gonna need cloves, brown sugar. We're going to get pineapple and the pineapple juice and the cherries. And we're also going to use the juice of the cherries, and we're going to make our own glaze for our ham, which is traditionally Puerto Rican. I am, like I said, I am using the spiral ham. I happen to like it. It's my favorite ham. And I'm going to just put the pineapple in a different kind of way. So the first thing you want to do, obviously, is take your ham out. I'm going to take this and put this to the side because we're not going to use it. The first thing you want to do is, let's start with the glaze, okay? So I'm going to take the pineapple juice and I'm just going to strain my pineapples because I'm going to use the juice. Okay, when you strain this pineapple juice, get all that juice out, guys. Then I'm going to take my cherries and I want to use, I'm just going to add it right to the pineapple. I'm going to make this a cup and a half, okay? So you want to make this a cup and a half of all the liquid together. So it's going to be a half a cup of your cherry juice, okay? Which is what I've done here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add brown sugar, and we're going to do 1 cup of brown sugar. Now I'm using light. Again, if you have dark, not a problem, use the dark. Okay, so I'm going to put 1 cup of that. And believe it or not, I'm also going to use my pancake syrup. I'm going to use 1/3 cup of pancake syrup. Any pancake syrup will do. If you don't have it, again, don't worry about it, it'll be fine, but this really does taste really good. So you wanna kind of use this, okay? I do not use any kind of salt or any kind of seasoning because ham is typically salty. So you don't want to kind of add anything to that. You just want to add sweetness. Now what I'm going to do is warm this through. And sometimes just not to dirty another pot because all I want to do is dissolve the sugar. So what I'll do is I will pop this in the microwave for a minute just so that sugar can dissolve. So I'm going to just mix our sauce. So we have about 2 cups of our glaze, okay? So all you want to do is just mix that together because we want our brown sugar to really, you know, dissolve. So I'm just going to pop it in the microwave for a minute just so I don't dirty another pot. And this is already, and that's all you want to do. You're not really, bringing it to a boil or anything like that. So we're going to just pop that in the microwave. Okay guys, so while that's microwaving, we are going to put our cloves. So you're going to need cloves. You're going to need toothpicks, pineapple, and our cherries, okay? So let's start with our cloves. That's the first thing I do. So what you want to do is you just want to stick the cloves everywhere because that's going to give it some nice flavor. So I just pop them in there. There's no rhyme or reason to it. You can just put them in there. Now, when we use the can and the ham, you would score it and kind of get it in there. But because this is a spiral ham, all the juices are going to come in here. Because you see how that's all already sliced up, which is really good. This is why I like using the spiral ham, because we can just kind of put the flavors already in there. We don't have to score it. You don't have to do anything like that because you're going to get those flavors in there. Okay, so we're just going to put some cloves everywhere, as many as you want. It's a nice flavor. I always miss some because, after you cook it, you have to take the cloves out, and I always miss some, which makes everybody kind of upset. So I don't like to put too many because I always miss a few. So now, and I'm going to probably add more cloves, okay, but what I want to do is I want to start doing the pineapple and cherries because I want to stick it in between all of the slices of the ham. And we'll put even some on the outside so it could look really pretty. Okay guys, so what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to start to stick my pineapple and cherries in here. So I cut the pineapples in half because the ham doesn't go all the way down. So I cut the pineapples in half and I have my toothpicks. So all you want to do is you want to just put your pineapple and a cherry, and I just put a toothpick in there just to hold it in place. And you're just going to keep going as far as you can go with putting in pineapples and cherries. Okay, we're also going to do it on the outside, so no worries. And don't forget, we have the juice, the syrup that we're going to put on there. So you just want to keep putting it in each little slit that is available. I mean, I love the spiral ham because it's also really easy to just slice it. Now the other great thing, I mean, this is a pretty big ham. So what I do, guys, is I save the bone. My God, make an amazing soup. Put it in your beans. Amazing. So whatever leftovers you have, just, you know what? Chop it up. Put it in some bags and save it for a soup. Beans, your rice. You can add it to rice and make another meal out of it. So you see how this is so cool? It's just really super easy, and you're just gonna keep on putting your pineapple in between those slices. And you're just gonna do that until you get to all your slices. And don't forget, you can add some more cloves in between here if you wanted to give it that flavor in between. And just put a few on the outside if you'd like, so we can have all of that goodness outside as well. This is going to take 3 hours because this is a pretty big ham. Okay, so you see how I'm just putting it, you know, just put it however you want. There's no right or wrong way, guys. Just wherever you find a spot, put it in. Now at this point, if you wanted to add a few more cloves, just sporadically around on this side of the ham, you certainly can. Now I am going to bake it this way, okay? When you're baking it, like I said, you're gonna bake it according to the package directions. It's usually 15-20 minutes per pound, but whatever it says, mine is gonna take 3 hours. So my sugar is completely dissolved, okay, which is awesome. And all you're going to do is you're going to pour this absolute deliciousness right on over your ham, okay? And you're going to cover it with some foil, and you're gonna put it in the oven, and you're gonna wait, and it's gonna be delicious, I promise. And then we can move on to our next step, which is the gandules, which is, oh my God, I can't even wait, guys. So I'm gonna put this in the oven, cover it, put it in the oven, and we can start on the gandules. Okay guys, so we're gonna make the bollitas, which is going to be in our gandules. Now don't forget, you have the frozen. If you do not have frozen gandules, you can use the can. Perfectly fine. Do not get rid of the juice of the can. It helps with the flavor. I'm using fresh. So while I'm doing this, my gandules are boiling. If you're using your frozen ones, it's gonna take about an hour for that to boil and your gandules to be soft. Okay, my gandules are boiling. In the meantime, I'm gonna work on my bollitas and show you how to do that. So you're going to need, I'm making for, you know, my family because they're coming over, so I'm going to do 2 plátanos. And you're going to cut your plátanos, and you're gonna have to use a grater. I have a little fancy one, which is so awesome because it catches it. And we're going to use the grater to grate our plátano. So you're gonna use your grater, and you're just gonna grate your plátanos, okay? Grate it. Now, I have a little thing under here that catches it. If you do not, obviously you're gonna need a bowl. And so when you're scraping, it'll go into the bowl. So just scrape, grate your plátanos. I'm doing 2. I'm also boiling water because we're going to boil these. I don't put it in with the beans because I want them to gently roll in the water and not kind of break apart. Okay guys, I am boiling water so that I can put my bollitas. Now I'm going to add some adobo because we want to have, you know, let it get some flavor. And you're gonna mix that up. I have water boiling because I'm gonna put my bollitas in there. But before I do that, I'm going to actually pour some of my, see my gandules are boiling. I'm gonna pour some of that gandule water because that's going to give it flavor to my bollitas. And I'm going to put that in there. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to mix this up. Just use your hand. Okay. I'm actually going to put this in a bigger bowl because it's kind of hard to work in this. So I'm just going to kind of mix up my adobo in there. Now this is the homemade stuff. If you saw my YouTube channel, you're going to be able to make your own. If you haven't had a chance to do that, use the store-bought adobo, bearing in mind that it tends to be a little salty. So just don't overdo it, basically. So I'm going to wait. My water is almost boiling because I added water from the beans. So basically, I'm going to make them, you want to squeeze it out. You don't want water in your bollitas because it's not going to stick, okay? I'm just making it about this size. It's probably, if you were using a spoon, a teaspoon. And you want to just kind of, you know, get it nice and tight. And your water should not be rapidly boiling. It should be a slow boil, okay? Now, some people put it in their rice, in their beans directly. I find with the other beans and it's hitting stuff that it can tend to break apart. Not that I mind plátano that are broken apart in the beans because it just gives it such a nice flavor and it does thicken your beans. So you're just going to keep on making. You can make them bigger. I'm making them a little small, but you can certainly, you know, no science to this, guys. You can make them bigger, smaller. These are basically dumplings made out of plátanos. But this is it. I'm squeezing. You can tell I'm squeezing it. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure they're nice and tight. You don't want to overfill your pot. You want your dumplings to have plenty of room to boil around and not kind of bump into each other. So if you have to do 2 batches, that's fine. That's what you do. It doesn't take that long. Plus, remember, they're going to continue cooking. When you're done, I'm going to add this to my beans. Hey guys, so I'm going to start preparing la gandules guisado. Okay, so my beans are already soft. So I have tested that out. See how they squeeze between your finger? You want that to be soft. Okay, so they are. I do have them still cooking on a low flame. Just want to keep it cooking there. So what are we going to do? I want to cook my sofrito. I have frozen sofrito that I put in ice cubes. So I'm using 2 ice cubes of sofrito. I'm going to use a 1/3 cup of tomato sauce. If you have tomato paste, you can use that. I prefer the tomato sauce. So I have some here. And we're going to cook our sofrito down. And you're going to add it to your beans, okay? Now, I did not have a chance to make my homemade sazon, so I'm using the Goya brand. You can use any brand you like. Make sure that it has achote in it because you want it to give your beans that red color, okay? So you're just gonna cook that down. I'm going to add my 2 packets of sazon, if I could get it open. Gonna cook that. Gonna let that saute, and then we're going to add it to the beans. I like to do it separate because I like to cook the sofrito, which also helps in thickening your beans. The sofrito is cooking up nicely. You want to just cook that down. My frozen cubes of sofrito have already defrosted. You're also going to add adobo. This is, of course, my homemade adobo. You know how I like it. Gonna add some homemade adobo to that. Okay. And you're just going to saute it just very quickly. I don't want you to burn it. You just want to cook that all together because it's going to continue to cook in your beans. Okay, so now at this point I'm just going to move my beans up to this and I'm going to continue cooking my beans. So I'm going to add all of that deliciousness to my beans. Just mix that up. Now you also need, at this point, I did not boil my beans with salt. So you want to boil your bean. You want to add salt at this point so that you can, to your liking, obviously. So you don't want to, don't make it too salty now, guys, because you don't want to kill the delicious flavor. So I'm going to add with teaspoon. I'm also going to add, even though my adobo has it, I'm going to add a little pinch and squeeze that between your fingers of some oregano. Just gonna mix that up. Now at this point, you may need some more water, and you certainly can add some water to your beans if it seems a little too low, which I think that I'm going to add probably another half a cup of water to this. Continue to cook. Hey guys, I'm gonna add my bollitas to my beans. So a few pieces got loose of the plátano, which I'm going to add to my beans because it's going to thicken it and just give it a really nice flavor. So when you're adding it to your beans, you know, put it in there gently. You don't want to stir your beans too much, and you want to keep it at a low simmer. So I am going to add some of the water of my bollitas because it has some loose pieces of plátanos, which is going to be good. See, like this one kind of didn't survive, but that's okay because that's going to give your beans some thickness. Okay guys, we're going to continue on with our white rice, which is going to go with our meal. I'm going to be making 3 cups of white rice. I'm actually doing jasmine rice today. If you guys have never tried it, it's a very nice rice, long grain. I've been getting a lot of questions about how much water to use for medium grain and long grain. You can use the same amount of water, okay? So when you're making your white rice, I've already put my 6 cups of water, and I have 3 cups of rice. So what you want to do is you want to add about 1/3 cup of cooking oil. Do not use olive oil. I don't recommend it. I know some people do. So it's about 1/3 cup of oil. And you're going to use salt. Now when I put salt in my any kind of rice, actually, I want to make sure that the rice is, the water is slightly salty. So I'm just going to mix that up and make sure that my water, I'm going to actually taste it, because you're not going to add your rice to this pot until the water starts to boil. Now if you are using a rice cooker, which I do, those are lifesavers. If you're going to do your rice in there, you're going to use your white rice. If you're using the jasmine rice, you can use the white rice function. Now the water is not too salty, so I'm going to add a little bit more salt because you want to have it to be a little slightly salty. And don't forget, you have salt in your beans too, so you don't want to go too crazy, but you want to, you know, you don't want your rice to be bland either. So I'm just going to go ahead and taste it. Perfect, guys, perfect. Now you're going to wait for your water to boil. My beans are cooking nicely. They're on a slow simmer. Okay, so everything's coming along. And in the meantime, while that is about to boil, and remember, you want to keep that on a medium-high heat for that to boil for you. And that's where you're going to cook your rice until it absorbs, medium to high heat. Okay, guys, the ham is looking very nice. I love. So I'm just going to baste it. It's been cooking for a little bit over an hour. I have it covered. Remember, your ham is already basically cooked. You're basically heating it through so that it's cooked, you know, warm, really. So I'm just gonna go ahead and baste this. Get all them juices in there. And when you're serving it, whatever liquid you have left over, because it does reduce while you're cooking it in the oven. And we're just going to put that delicious glaze right on over that. So I'm going to put this back in the oven for another 2 hours. I'll take it out another hour and we'll do the same thing. You just want to baste it and just keep those liquids on there, okay? Okay, our water is boiling for our rice. So you're just going to add your rice in there and you're going to mix it. Now the key to rice, at least Spanish rice, is that you're going to mix it and you're going to leave it alone. I know you're going to want to keep mixing it, but don't. Okay, so we're going to mix that and wait for the water to absorb. And at that point, we will lower the heat and mix it again. Again, you don't want to keep mixing it because it'll make it sticky. So I'm just gonna let that come to a boil and all the water absorbed, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay guys, I also took the yams out of the oven and I'm just going to mix it in so everything gets that delicious. Look at this. This is sugar, maple syrup, delicious. Okay, and I'm just mixing that in. They are not ready. Yams do take a while to cook. So I do keep it covered, and I'm just taking them out just to give them a nice little mix, okay? Keeping them on a nice single layer also allows them to cook evenly and a little bit faster. So this is still has probably about an hour to go. Okay guys, see how that's all absorbing? Now if you want pegao, which is the sticky part at the bottom, you're gonna let that cook a little longer. But make sure not to burn your rice. Okay, so I do have a little bit. I'm not a pegao fan. So, and my mom's not here, she is. So this is absorbing, okay, very nicely. Now what I want you to do is reduce your heat to low. Okay, and at this point, you can turn your rice. Give it a nice turn. Okay. And you're going to cover it. Now I usually put it like in a little mound. And I'm gonna want you to cover that. And I want you to cook it for 15 to 20 minutes covered. Do not uncover it. This is the cooking process. You don't wanna keep uncovering it and mixing it. Let it do its thing. I know you'll be tempted, but trust me, your rice will come out nice and fluffy if you just leave it alone and let it do its thing. So 15 to 20 minutes, you're going to stir again. You're going to cover it and cook it the remaining time, another 15-20 minutes until your rice is nice and fluffy, and voila, you're done. So I'm gonna wait for all this stuff to cook, and then my guests will be coming soon, and I have a special drink to share with you guys as well. So see you soon. Hey guys, everything is ready. La familia is over. I'm just gonna put these drippings over. They're all excited to get their hands on this. So the ham is ready. We have our yams, and of course I have the white rice and the gandules. Everything's gonna be put on the table. And as promised, I'm going to make the chicharito drink, and that means a quickie in Spanish. I mean, you could just reference anything to it. So I'm gonna do that for you guys, and we're gonna put this on the table, and the family's gonna eat. And my newborn baby is here. My new grandbaby is here, so she's adorable. She's gonna be the next Boricua cook. All right, guys, I'm gonna set the table, and we'll get to eat. Okay, guys, so the chicharito is a traditional Puerto Rican drink, which means a quickie. So basically you would drink this as a shot. So you're gonna take rum and anisette. Okay, so that is a licorice liqueur. And what's great about it is that it really cuts the flavors. I'm not a huge liqueur fan, but I have to say with the rum and this together, it really gives it a nice flavor. It's not too overpowering on either end. So you're just gonna put that in there, shake it with some ice, and put it in a shot glass and enjoy. We're gonna go to the dinner table and see what everybody thinks about my food today. See you soon. Okay guys, dinner is served. Everybody's here. I'm gonna drink my chicharito, which means, you know what? It's a quickie.
Chug.
And don't forget baby Ava, the newest addition. So you already finished your meal, so I'm assuming that was really good.
Delicious.
Delish.
Best ham I've ever
Oh,
had.
and she wants a refund. No refunds. How is your food, Kayla? Looks like you're almost done too.
Right. I mean, you know.
Really? And my son, how's that going? Oh. And my hubby?
10 out of 10.
Fantastic.
10 out of 10. Wow.
Wants more.
Yes. And we just blended it up for the baby. Yup, she's going to suck on that later. We're going to give it to mommy to take home. Yes, we are.
Ay, ay, ay.
Buen provecho. Ay, caramba.
Ay, ay, ay.
Cucaracha.
Oh, what a regaño.
Azul.